created me. And that if I'm having a pity party, I need to come on out of that party. Because God has a purpose and a plan for me. God has a breakthrough right there, sitting right there. I need to remind myself that God desires for me to walk it out. Walk in that place that He's designed for me. To walk in that moment that He's prepared for me. To walk in that calling that He's called me to be great in my own unique and innovative way. God has created each of us that none of us have the same DNA. So why do we compare and contrast ourselves to one another? Why do I want what I see across the fence when God has something on this side of the fence just for me? If we are God's children, then God desires to love us. If God desires to love us, God doesn't necessarily want us to be hurt. If God doesn't necessarily want us to be hurt, then why won't we trust God? Oh, there's a difference between happiness and joy. In all the pain and sorrow I have, I can decide to be joyful because I know that God will never leave nor forsake me. Yes. When moments just aren't going right, I can trust God that perhaps not in my time, but in God's time, it will happen. So when my moment of breakthrough comes, because I'm anxiously awaiting for God to do what God promised that God will do, I'm going to grab it. I'm going to grab it because it has my name written all over it. And what's for me, can't nobody take it. What's for me, is for me. What's for you, is for you. And so when you get your breakthrough, I'm going to rejoice with you. I'm not going to be jealous. I'm not going to be envious. I'm not going to wish that God would have hooked me up like He hooked you up, because I want to rejoice with you. And I pray that when it's my turn, you will rejoice with me. Part of the mystery of this thing called faith is that I need you to get your breakthrough so I can get mine. The way God operates a lot of times is that my breakthrough is hidden in the residue of your breakthrough. So if you miss your breakthrough, I may miss mine. I need you to be joyful. I need you to understand that God loves you so much that He gave His only begotten Son. That if you believe, because when you believe, then we can lock up and link up and do all kinds of great stuff. Then we have a community. But when you doubt, then it causes the domino effect. Oh, there's something here. There's something here for something. I can do all things through Christ. It doesn't mean that if I want to jump off the building and I say I'm doing this in the name of Christ, I'll be all right. It doesn't mean that I can go and accomplish the things that I think I'm supposed to do without hearing God in me. It means that whatever is in God's will, according to His calling in your life, if you trust Jesus, if you trust God, it will come to pass. Because there's nothing that can stop you. There's no one that can stop you except yourself. So your strength is not just physical strength, but it's moral strength. Your strength is not just moral strength, but it's strength of integrity. Your strength is not just integrity, but it's emotional strength. It's spiritual strength. Can you believe in the midst of all your pain? Can you be joyful when you're not happy? Yes. Yes, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. And it's in that yes reality is God loves you so much that he has created in you everything that you need to be successful according to his will and purpose. God has created in you, in your DNA, everything that you need. From the moment that you came out of the womb, you had everything that you need for the rest of your life to be successful. But part of the challenge of life is, can you find it within yourself to be joyful in the midst of pain and sorrow? Can you find it within yourself to trust God in the circumstances of your life? I'm reminded of the eagle. I love eagles. I love eagles. I mean, standing 3 to 3.5 feet tall, weighing 8 to 15 pounds, able to see about a mile and a half in front of me, able to fly between 20 and 60 miles per hour, except when diving. When diving, up to 100 miles per hour. I mean, the wingspan of an eagle, upwards to 8 feet. Pound for pound, the eagle's wings are stronger than any airplane. I mean, the eagle is bad animal. The king and or queen of the birds, the eagle is a bad animal. The eagle, once finds a mate, stays with that mate for the rest of their life. That's a bad animal. I mean, the eagle, talk about co-parenting, both eagles sit on the egg. They take turns. That's a bad animal. When it's time for one of them to go find food, the other one sits on the egg. That's a bad animal. I mean, the eagle will create a nest that is about 20 feet deep, 10 feet wide. And when the nest gets to maturity, will weigh about 2 pounds. 2 tons. 2 tons. That's a bad animal. You want to know how bad that eagle is? That eagle, when the eagle builds a nest, all kind of twigs and tree limbs for the exterior, but in the interior, the eagle finds jagged rocks and puts jagged rocks down on the inside of the nest. And then thorns and all kinds of spiny things on the inside of the nest. And then on top of that, some grass, little rub on top of that. And the eagle will lay 1 to 3 eggs each mating season. And when it's time to hatch the eggs, the eagle will let the eggs stay there. And by the time the little chick is about 1 month old, they're flapping their wings and whatnot. And when the 2 eagles think that it's time for the baby eagle to fly, there's no flight lessons. There's no training practice. What the eagle will do is gently remove layer of grass after layer of grass. And so the baby eagle will be sitting on thorns and jagged rocks to the point where the baby eagle just can't be still anymore. And it just begins to move up a little bit. And it starts to flap its wings, and all of a sudden a little gust of air takes it. But if you've ever watched an eagle fly, the eagle glides through the air with the greatest of ease. The eagle is a great epitome for what happens when that breakthrough comes. Because the eagle waits to the very last minute. When that gust of air comes, it regulates its body weight, and it does. And that air takes the wings, and it glides right through. And when something else comes and it glides right through, the eagle understands that transformative moment where obstacles, detours, and distractions will no longer keep you from your goal. And that's why the eagle can glide through life with the greatest of ease. Not because of some super flight training school or some training mechanism or not, but because the eagle understands that in order to accomplish one's goals, one has to look the obstacle, look the detour, look the distraction right in the eye.
Yeah, that's right.
Gaze right at it. Pause, breathe, breathe and be thankful that God has created you with everything that you need to be successful. Oh, the eagle's a bad animal. Some ancient customs thought that it was the eagle that took your soul from earth to heaven. Some folks believe that it was the eagle, the only animal who can travel from this planet to other planets. The eagle constructed with bone above the eyes. So the eagle is so bad it can look the sun in its own eyes and fly right in. Don't you know that you are constructed the same way? Yeah. There is nothing that you can't handle. There is nothing that can conquer you. Because God has created you with such a DNA that if you trust God and align yourself up to God's will, and when God says, get up, you get up. When God says, take up your mat, you take up your mat. When God tells you to walk, you walk. Preach. You have everything you need. Everything you need. Right in. The challenge is that God created us as relational beings. Just like the eagle finds a mate. And that mate brings out the best in the eagle. We find community. And that community brings out the best in the individual.